Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Thursday night. It is time for revolutionary change. I'm Jen Perelman.
I'm Peter Hager, and I am coming to you live from South Florida. How's everything going, Jen?
Good. Life on the farmstead is very good.
That's good. Unfortunately, we learn a lot when we come down, on the ground for these campaigns, and I just want to reiterate one point one more time. And guys, if you haven't hit that like button yet, please make sure that you do. There is like no crowd in here right now, which is kind of weird. I don't know what's going on, but smash that like button if you can. Let's try to get this out there to as many people as we can. We know that they push our channel into a corner. I don't know if we used any words tonight that we shouldn't have, but you know how that goes. So please make sure that you do hit it. So the thing that I just want to get out of the way, because I know Jen really does not care to talk about this, I just want to be sure that anybody who is at all concerned about making sure that Debbie Wasserman Schultz is taken out of Congress, that they understand full well that Elijah Manley, whatever he's doing, it's a complete fraud. It is a complete fraud because I've been on the ground and there is no presence whatsoever at any of the main polling stations for this campaign. There are no campaign workers. There are no signs. There are no advertisements. There are no boots on the ground. Nothing. And this guy raised $1.2 million. Let me assure you, and I know some of these people, they are getting paid. They're getting paid, and they're getting paid very, very well. So when everybody is questioning what just happened with Shama Sawant's campaign, I want everyone to know that if you think everybody's above board, they're not. They're not. There's a reason we're supporting Sheila. It's because we want Debbie out. Pure and simple. And then past that, elections, what have we learned, Jen? What have we learned about elections?
Clearly, you and I have not learned the same thing. So I don't know what you're saying we've learned. I'm done. I'm done. Guys, we have decided we are not having a PAC. I've disbanded that PAC. Thank you to anyone who supported. It is getting wrapped up. I personally will no longer engage in any sort of give a shit about electoral politics, because at the end of the day, even a really solid candidate like Shama Sawant still has a campaign that is questionable how it was run. Questionable at best how it was run and where money went and how it was spent. And it's like, and if that's a good candidate, think about all the wasted money that the bad candidates are throwing out. So my advice to everybody, do not ever give another dollar to another candidate ever. Unless you're somebody working on that campaign and you know that they're not wasting, I don't know, more than half of their money on staff salaries, and you're really aware of how they're spending their money, do not donate another dollar to another candidate ever. I know I won't. I also might not ever vote again, but that's another story.
So we are going to use the list that we have from the PAC that we have to try to raise more money for the channel. And the initiatives that we are going to focus on primarily, as Jen, I would assume you would agree, is definitely mutual aid. We will do what we can under our control to make sure that the priorities that actually matter, that we're trying to use for the purpose of this revolutionary movement, are being used where actual revolutionary change can happen. And the other thing that I've noticed since I've been on the ground here is that the enthusiasm is coming from people who desperately need help. And the turnout is abysmal because most people do not believe in electoral politics anymore, nor should they. Because the fact of the matter is, the people that are still trying to get into elected office or have been are kind of just consistently doing the same thing that they always have. And I think
it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. The best intended people either get corrupted or neutered. And it's just, this is a system where basically we're asking to participate in the system of our own oppression. Yep. That's what it is. And the voting is theatrical. We already know that our policy does not reflect the majority. We know this. That we are literally talking about what is the theater that we're watching, like, you know, bread and circuses. This is the circuses. It's a distraction. It's not real. It doesn't matter.
It is.
Oligarchs don't have parties. Oligarchs don't have borders. We're just
I do want, I do want Elijah to be called out. Like, to me, I think that's important.
If it would matter, honestly, my concern is that, let's say hypothetically that he wasn't in it, I still don't think that would necessarily be. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong, but I know how this goes.
Well, I've seen enough on the ground to know where the energy is and where the support is coming from. Do I think Sheila is definitely going to win? No, but I wouldn't be surprised if she does, because it's pretty clear that in terms of actual boots on the ground and actual campaign energy, it's her and Dale. I mean, that much is obvious. But a lot of people that are working for Sheila or volunteering for Sheila, a lot of them are volunteering. A lot of them are just out there because they believe in her and they want her to win. I have not seen I was at every precinct that actually matters during early voting, except for Wilton Manors. Like I said, Elijah has nobody. He doesn't even have signs. I don't understand this. This is just basic campaigning 101. That if you do not prioritize poll workers, campaign literature, signs at the polling station, this is just basic stuff.
I agree, David. Never a good idea to piss Jen off.
Yeah, probably not, considering how much we did for them. But this is the lesson in life. This is why.
And by the way, we are not speaking about Shama.
No.
I don't know who. I don't know. I just know that something is awry, and that money was not properly allocated, and something is awry. That's all I know, and I don't like it. So, yeah.
And this is a prime example why, if you're even thinking about getting involved in the presidential primary, especially if AOC runs, how many times do we have to remind people? The first thing right out of the box is that the Democratic Party has super delegates and they are not getting rid of them, and they're all the corporate sponsors of the party. So the only way you can actually win the presidential nomination in the Democratic Party is if you capitulate to the system. You are either in the system or you're out of it, and you've seen in the past what they're willing to do. They're willing to burn everything to the ground. You saw what they just did to Francesca Hung over in Wisconsin. And the biggest reason they did it to her and not to anybody else who was running, it isn't so much about what she said primarily. It's the fact that she would be and Jen, you've said this many times, there is a big difference between somebody who is a legislator and somebody who is an executive.
Yeah, talking about Alex in that role is stupid. It's stupid. Yeah. She'll look stupid. It'll be stupid. I am absolutely 1,000% not saying that Shama is a grifter at all. That I am talking about what I have referred to as the WCCC. Okay, they're white collar campaign carnies, and these are people that profit off of campaigns. And the candidate, a lot of times, it's not that they're not aware that like who's around them, but they don't necessarily know every day-to-day thing. They don't. And so, no, I am definitely not saying anything about Shama. What I am saying is that the campaign wasn't run any better than a typical WCCC campaign. And so if you're not going to run a better grassroots campaign than what the establishment campaigns are like, then you're missing the point. And I am absolutely not saying Shama is a grifter. Okay. That's a certain. I love Shama.
Now, I don't know the full extent of what this is all about regarding Butch Ware, but here's what I can tell you regarding running a statewide race in a state like California, especially if you do not have a means of making a living. And again, I'm not saying 10K is warranted. It probably is not. However, I do understand certain candidates running for office and needing to be paid a certain amount of money so that they can live on the road and campaigning all the time. So I'm not going there per se, but again, the problem with left politics is people are very bad strategists. They don't understand that there is a way that things have to be done in terms of building a foundation that can actually work. And as Jen showed when we did this the first time around, if your priority is just to win a race, you've already lost. You have to be willing to do something that is actually worth doing, that a platform that a big race could provide. For example, if you want to do something like Gen Core, where we went out and did service in the community, that's something that people really appreciated. There's one thing that I know for certain that people really enjoyed about that campaign was that we were doing community service as part of campaigning to get people on board. Jen got nearly 30% of the vote as a first-time candidate because people understood that she was doing more as a candidate than Wasserman Schultz was probably ever doing as a representative. And that's something that sticks, and that's something that can stick. It doesn't have to be a campaign for office, but it's understanding the way that this movement has to evolve. Pinning your hopes on somebody running for office and winning is the last thing that should be on the list, at least as far as we can see.
I agree. I'm done. I do not care about electoral politics. It's a waste of my mental energy. It is. And it's completely not part of the revolution. The revolution has nothing to do with it. The revolution is contra to that system.
Yeah.
It needs to be.
If you had 5 million people in the street in this country, you really think it would matter who's in elected office? So you think the people that are there would be scared so fucking deep out of their brains that they would not know what to do? Again, Roosevelt.
It's a labor issue. Look, we've been saying that this is a class war and it's a labor issue. It's not a partisan issue, and it isn't an electoral issue. This is a people issue. And when enough people have fucking had it, and we're in it now, we're seeing it. You're seeing it, whether it's the sailors on the ship, you're seeing people that have had it. And, that is the revolution, but the revolution has nothing to do with electoral politics. Electoral politics is a distraction to keep you from the revolution.
Yeah. And again, if you're going to run for office, but you're not running it in the context of what we're talking about, then there's no point. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of effort. It's a waste of money. And being that we've been taken advantage of multiple times, it's not worth it. It's not worth it because there are things that can be done that are actually enacting change. It's legitimately happening, and you can see it because it doesn't have anything to do with electoral politics. It has to do with the fact, like you have said time and again, if there was a person that could have ever run for office that you would have supported if they did it on the grand scale, it would have been somebody like Sean Fain, because what he proved as being the head of the head of the Auto Workers Union is that through Stellantis, GM, and Ford, he was able to get his workers twice the salary that Elon was paying his workers at Tesla. That's why Elon lost his mind. That's why he actually went to great lengths to smear Fain, to say that their cars were terrible. The only reason he did that was because he actually felt threatened because somebody actually did something that got to the heart of the issue here, which is the economic and political system. You actually affected Elon's ability to take over the world. You are never going to do that winning an election. You could do that by showing people that the Tesla workers are being treated terribly and that you shouldn't invest in the Tesla stock. Like, to me, that would be an example of priorities being straight, but they're not.
I mean, this is a class war. People, please understand that. This is a class war. The elections are just one more distraction. Going forward, the two things that I really want to focus on, and we've talked about this, I want to keep going with the Deconstructing Zionism series and go in depth in that. And I am also very committed to mission abolition, because at the end of the day, there is no revolution without abolition. So those are the kinds of things that I care about educating people on more than what's going on in Florida's District 20, when it really doesn't make a difference.
And how about the Democrats, led by AOC, throwing Francesca Hong under the bus because she is mission abolition? She made it very clear that that is a priority of hers. And this guy Crowley, who used the black card to say that they weren't supporting him because he's black. No, people didn't want to support him because he's for Israel. He is for data centers. He is for venture capitalism all throughout Wisconsin. And he's for the police state. I mean, at the end of the day, they will always, if you get in the way of their ability to make money, they'll always show their true colors. Always.
So those are the kinds of issues that I want to focus on, the issues, and go back to what I kind of feel like we were doing when we started this. more so than the politics, because the politics, it's really a waste of time and money. And I saw that you said, I think it was Teresa said in there about if people hadn't voted for Mamdani. Local is a little bit different. Local is a little bit different. I'll say that. I mean, I don't know that I care enough to ever go vote again, but I can understand why local, you actually can make a difference with electoral politics. But no, it's a waste of everybody's mental energy and money and time. You know, until everybody decides we're done paying taxes and we're done showing up for work and just shut shit down. And until that happens, nothing's going to happen, because the only language that they speak is that.
And that's something we'll speak
we're
about.
Going to win militarily.
Yeah, well, that's something we could talk about with Caleb, because that's actually something that a lot of progressives and libertarians, again, agree on, which is, why are we paying taxes if we don't have any say in how it's spent? We have taxation with no representation,
none,
literally no representation.
Right.
You pay them because we tell you to pay them, and we'll spend it however the fuck we want to spend it, which of course involves genociding innocent children. So I think we are coming to a consensus that there is going to be a sea shift, and we like seeing these things like what happened to Thomas Massey happen, because every time that happens, another person wakes up. Another person notices and recognizes that, oh, you can't vote your way out of this. You actually need to do something significantly different. And I know that this is something that you wanted to get to, so we'll get to it now. So evidently, reports of U.S. sailors in Middle East trying to jump ship spark outcry. U.S. senators call for inquiry into the USS Lincoln has record-long period without port stop amid war on Iran.
I honestly, this is very upsetting. And I have been on an aircraft carrier. I've been on the USS Saratoga, and I actually got a pretty decent tour, like, of the bunks and the bathrooms and the whole behind the scenes. And it was quite disgusting. And they have lead in their water and all of this stuff. And that was in summer of '92 off of the French Riviera. And those guys were living. This ship, or this aircraft, this carrier, that Lincoln, has been at sea for like 208 days, which is a record in modern naval history. And these sailors are losing their minds, rightfully so. Also, they've taken chaplains and such types of people off the boats, not just the carriers. Yeah, those guys got cut out. We're not having counseling. We're not having that. The food is limited. This is horrifying. They haven't been at port in 208 days, I believe. And yes, my understanding was that 6 different crewmen have jumped overboard on this aircraft carrier. That is astounding. Astounding.
Can you imagine? I mean, think about it. They were left to die. They're being left to die.
They'd rather be dead. That's the point. They know what happens when you do that. They would rather do that than stay on this carrier for one more second. That's how bad it is on there. That these sailors who were trained for this cannot live that anymore. That's how bad it is. And then you've got Peg's Breath defending this shit.
Well, of course. He's gonna,
He's sitting there coked out talking about this narco thing, and I'm thinking, is he like sampling all the product?
He's gonna.
But this is the guy in charge of these people here. That's who's in charge of these guys.
You know how you see some of those movies where like certain guys just don't realize they're walking into a room where they're about to, basically get the mafia treatment. Like Keg's Breath, if he goes out mafia style, it's not going to surprise me the least, because he's the kind of guy that's just asking for it. Lawmakers in the United States have raised the alarm over reports of dire conditions on the aircraft carrier deployed to the Middle East amid the U.S.-Israel war with Iran, including accounts of sailors trying to jump overboard. The response has included a direct appeal to the Pentagon chief, Pete Kegsbreath, asking for further information about conditions on board the USS Abraham Lincoln, and demanding that a bipartisan congressional delegation be allowed to visit the ship. Yeah, good luck with that one. Scroll down, please. In a letter to Kegsbreath, Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal noted that the aircraft carrier with more than 5,000 U.S. sailors and Marines has been continuously at sea for a record length of nearly 7 months. That surpasses any previous deployment of a U.S. aircraft carrier without a port stop. Blumenthal noted that the vessel's mission was meant to end in May, but it has been repeatedly extended amid the war. Conflict remains in the state of grinding limbo, with a memorandum of understanding to end the fighting largely defunct and further diplomatic efforts stalled. How about food? How about basic necessities? Like I said, are they trying to kill these guys? Maybe. He pointed to reports of deteriorating mental health on board, as well as shortages of basic supplies, water contamination, an increase in safety incidents, and even disruptions to mail services, through which those on board received care packages. These reports warranted immediate attention, but they also raised a broader question: whether the Navy can sustain the operational tempo now being demanded of its carrier force, particularly as this administration repeatedly commits U.S. forces to conflicts of its own choosing and increasingly relies on, please take that off, relies on aircraft carriers to sustain those operations. Please scroll again. Jen, your turn.
Where are we? Okay. In a list of questions, the senator asked for a clear end date for the mission, how the Navy is measuring mental health metrics, and how the deployment fits into broader goals. Yeah, that's interesting. Like, they have goals. Scroll, please.
Yeah, totally.
They have no goals. Okay. Senator Ruben Gallego, also a Democrat, went further, saying the Navy must allow a bipartisan congressional delegation to visit the USS Lincoln to conduct an oversight investigation into this horrible situation. Such delegations have visited war zones to inspect the conditions of our troops. There is no reason to be denied access. Senator Mark Kelly, a former naval officer and astronaut, also called the reports of sailors attempting to jump into the sea disturbing. You think so, Mark? You think? Long deployments are hard. They are a lot harder when the mission isn't well defined, and there is no end in sight, he said, along with a nice link to mental health resources. Thank you, Mark. That's so considerate. The increased attention on the USS Abraham Lincoln comes amid 2 reports by the Navy Times, Stars and Stripes, Navy Times and Stars and Stripes, 2 publications that closely follow military affairs. Scroll. Where are we? They cited several family members of military personnel on the vessel who reported declining mental health and morale and cases of suicidal ideation from their loved ones. The Navy Times spoke on the record with the wife of one sailor, identified as, it doesn't matter, who said he had attempted to jump overboard, amid which she describes a severe burnout. So I saw somebody in the chat say something about that there was apparent that there were reports of like a knife fight on board. I don't know about that, but I will say this: you cannot believe or trust anything that you hear from the talking heads about what is going on that aircraft carrier. You cannot. They completely cover what is going on in these carriers. They've been doing that since when I went and visited this USS Saratoga. You guys need to know there was shit that went on. And this was not during a war, mind you. This was not during a war. There would be people, let's say, that would just disappear, never to be seen again. Now, I'm sure that their family was given some weird story when in fact it was whatever was going on the aircraft carrier. So this is really dire. Another woman said her husband told her he had intervened in a separate instance of a shipmate preparing to go overboard. Stars and Stripes said the issue was raised during a town hall meeting last week with Acting Secretary of the Navy Hung Sao in San Diego, from where the Lincoln had last departed in November of 25.
Insane.
On Thursday, CNN reported a sailor went overboard last month and was quickly rescued. The report, citing a U.S. official, said the circumstances of the incident were not clear. No, they're pretty fucking clear. It's pretty clear. It's clear. Because for us to be finding out about it, it has to have happened so many times. It has to have happened so many times because we normally don't get to hear the horrible stuff that goes on in these cases. We never do. So if we're hearing about it, that means that there's more.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Hegseth, meanwhile, said reports of poor conditions were completely misrepresented. Yeah, because we believe him. This coked out fuck who, from what I was saying, couldn't even do any of their basic training stuff. We make sure every ship, every crew, every captain has everything we can provide them at every single moment. Keg's breath said, you know what? Honestly, Peter, I need to refer to the manual. I need to refer to the manual for understanding this piece of shit.
He's just a really scummy bastard, like he really is.
Well, and I also do think he's on at least a few different things, right? Like he's not sober. He's just not. So he's actually perfect for the Secretary of War position. I can't think of anybody better.
It's the fact that they changed the name. It's just everything. It's the whole, not that.
And he's such a fucking coward pussy. He's a coward pussy. He says some deployments are longer than others. Really? Really? And I have more respect and gratitude for those sailors than anybody. They don't want your gratitude, Pete. You stupid fuck. What they do in those high seas, in those austere conditions, they're only austere because they don't have what they need from you. That's why the conditions are austere. That's why. With less port calls, it's incredible. Maybe because you don't have a plan. You also have no resources to keep resupplying your people that are at sea. All of these were things that would have been considered by somebody, I don't know, with two brain cells to rub together. The Navy did not immediately respond to Al Jazeera's request for comment. However, it told Stars and Stripes its leadership is continuously conducting assessments to monitor and sustain the psychological readiness of every sailor. Yet they took away the mental health services and the counseling session, the chaplains.
Mm-hmm.
They took them away. So I can see you're very concerned with their mental health. I'm disgusted.
Took away the
I am disgusted. Every single service person, honestly, needs to say, fuck this, and just walk away. This is ridiculous. And then it's not like, oh, we think they ever treat veterans well, because it's not like they treat veterans well anyway. Once you've served, they're done with you anyway. But this is another level. Because like I said, the regular aircraft carrier was absolutely disgusting. It was filthy. It was disgusting. It smelled. It had fumes. They had lead in their water. And those were in normal, decent. That was typical, decent aircraft carrier conditions. So, and I remember leaving that experience and thinking, and I know this. I can actually say this. There are jails and prisons that are nicer than that aircraft carrier I was on. And that was the USS Saratoga. I have no reason to think it's different or was anything not typical. And I remember leaving there and thinking, yeah, inmates have better conditions. That's how bad we treat our service people. But this, no, these people.
How is there not a mutiny at this point?
Well, I think there are. I mean, we knew what happened when they were clogging up the pipes and they were shoving T-shirts in the toilets and they were trying to do all these things. There has been lots of sabotage going on the inside. We don't hear a lot of that, just like we can't believe what they're saying is going on. And until we get reports from people that are on there, we can't believe anything.
Right.
So that's it.
Is there any more to this?
Is there more? I don't know. It just says they didn't immediately respond.
Okay, no, that might be it.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is what's going on that. And instead of having a moment of reflection and thinking, okay, well, maybe we need to bring them back. Well, so my understanding is that they have already sent another aircraft carrier, I forget which one, if somebody knows, put it in the chat, to go and replace that. That's at least 10 days away. That's at least 10 days away. So it took conditions to get to this point for them to first consider sending a carrier. But I would also suggest that we are so understaffed, undermanned, like we do not have the military that people think we have. We just don't. We don't. We don't have the service people. We don't have the combat ready service people. We don't have the munitions. We just don't have that. So he's like,
at some point you hear enough of these stories and you ask
USS
yourself,
Washington. Okay. Thank you, White Claws. Yeah.
You get to a point where you have to ask yourself how many more. It's almost like the dam is breaking. It's going to burst at the seams. How many different ways do you have to look at this and say, I don't have faith in this anymore. I don't know how we're ever going to maintain this illusion of being some type of a democratic republic. We're not. We're a failing empire. And this is just one of many examples of this.
Yeah. It's pathetic. And the whole world sees it. The whole world sees it.
Did you freeze? Yeah.
No. I didn't freeze. What's wrong?
Is it me or Jen who's freezing?
I don't know. I think it looks fine to me, so I don't know what you're talking about. So I think maybe it's you. I mean, it could be me. Well, I'm not noticing a problem, which doesn't mean it's not me. Everyone says everything's fine. So no one is freezing, Peter. So
we're
I don't know.
Both good? Okay, because
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's looking kind of frizzy on my end.
Well, it's not. It's fine. Carry on.
Carry on, they say. Okay, well, I'm just telling you what I hear.
Yeah, now Peter's a little choppy. All right.
Now
Peter is freezing. Okay, so I'm okay. Peter was frozen. So Peter, you're having a problem. Which is
accept the reality that they are going to do what they're going to do to this. Still?
I don't think so. I think you're fine now.
You don't think so?
I think you're fine now.
All right. So our guest has arrived early. Do we want to do one more story or?
Yeah, well,
Caleb, you give us a thumbs up.
Let's just get something covered because that way that way it was long, we're good.
For sure. And so I want to draw attention, again, we talk about the collapsing empire. I want to be very clear that all of these stories that are now popping up and people are noticing them, when you think about Larry Ellison obviously being as demonstrably evil as anybody we have ever seen, especially with what he's done, whether it's the buying up of all the major media companies, giving a Barry Weiss basically, turning her into the, I don't know I forget how the saying goes, but queen of king shit, I guess. There's like a way to say it, but I'm mangling
queen shit of fuck
right
mountain.
There you go. She is the queen shit, and she is the queen shit of fuck mountain. So the other person that I want to point out here that a lot of people don't know about within the Oracle orbit of Zionist controls, there is a lady by the name of Safra Katz, who is Oracle's executive chair. So this is the person who works hand in hand with the Ellisons. And this is what she had to say regarding what
that's punishment enough right there.
Well, yeah. I mean, Safra Katz, I guess that's pretty Israeli.
Well, no, working with the Ellisons. That's
in our country, and you saw your entire screen filled with an Israeli flag, which said, not only we stand with Israel, we stand with our employees in Israel, we stand with the people of Israel, we stand with the military establishment of Israel. There's a few things that we did that I really can't talk about, to be honest, because to advance the agenda for the Israeli military. But our teams did a lot. We have some really profoundly scary technology at Oracle, and we wanted to make sure that it was available for the effort. Let's just say that. Okay? I was in Curio and go in and I meet with everyone you'd imagine I meet with. And on my way out, I run into, I don't know, 5 of my team who are all in uniform working. And to be honest with you, it's like my proudest moment.
To be honest with you? You mean you were lying the entire time? You want to talk about a very, I mean, the brazenness that they continue to operate under is actually kind of amazing. I mean, like I said, and we'll talk about it with Caleb, but they're really they're under this illusion that the populace will never fight back, that they can just say whatever they want, do whatever they want, get away with whatever they want, including this.
Yeah, their time will come. Make her go away. She kind of reminds me of my mother-in-law. Make her go away. Okay.
Ew, really?
A little bit.
In what respect?
Just she's like a younger version of my mother-in-law. Just saying.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, the brazenness of Zionism is
The entitlement.
It's going to continue to spiral. Yeah, yeah, it is. It's very insane, and I want to piggyback on that because again, we do see just how crazy these Zionists actually are, and I believe that this is the clip that I had sent Ben earlier, where. And again, I have to play it because you just mentioned your mother-in-law. This was in Vancouver, and you can see Vancouver being a very popular Zionist stomping ground, how they react the way that they do when they're confronted with their bull. And this is, and the amazing thing about it is that these are people, Jen, which you have pointed out time and again, are in the Iranian diaspora. And this is all based on class.
Absolutely.
So,
Travers, how do you know I'm not a true real
Imagine
redhead and I
Jen's
don't
a
cover it up? Okay. I'm not. But you know, I like gingers a lot, you know. I mean, like I think that that's, you know, special. What are you doing?
So I have to, I'm going to jump out for a second because the connection here with me is really, really bad.
Okay.
So give me 1 second. I will be right back.
Okay. Peter's having issues. I don't know what that is. It's like talking, you know, though, sometimes it's not that different, you know, than if sometimes it's hard to get through anyway. So you guys know how much I love sitting here and being a talking head all on my own. It's like my least favorite thing in the entire world. But I am going to make a concerted effort to do some project stuff and bring on some guests. And I am going back into deep research mode. So I hopefully will be able to come back with some good panel discussions and stuff on mission abolition. Okay, Peter's back, I think. There you go.
Well, we're going to try. I mean, for whatever
Okay,
reason,
let's see.
my connection says everything's fine.
Travers says you lost concentration trying to imagine me as a redhead.
Sometimes Travers gets it. Sometimes Travers is just a dumbass, but you know, whatever. You gotta roll with the punches. So these are the types of people that Jen was probably accustomed to seeing when she went to Vancouver. No, that is not what Ben, you have to, again, I can't read these. I see it now. Okay.
I can't tell who's who. Okay, now I can tell. Yeah. Now, I will say that my mother-in-law would never do that. Never in a million years. My mother-in-law
Right,
would be
sure.
sitting at like a panel discussion at like some expensive $1,000 a plate type of Jewish Federation luncheon and would be having a discussion. She would definitely not be doing that.
For sure. But I also want to point out that, and to kind of wrap this in a bow, because you see how crazy, on the one hand, the Zionists conduct themselves. And then on the other hand, you also get to see the amazing response that so many people get to see for Ariana Hamilton, who was fired from her job at Burger King for speaking up in support of the Palestinian cause, and then the Zionists losing their collective shit, going out of their way to make sure that this young lady got fired.
And then what happened?
And this is how people, what do you mean?
And then what happened? Finish the story. It gets really good for the Zionists.
My connection's atrocious. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Well,
This is
guys,
the-
my
this is the thing
understanding
about,
as to what happened with
going live that you just
Adriana.
gotta
All right,
hold your
then
breath.
stop talking, because nobody can understand what you're talking about. So my understanding as to what happened with her is that then people did a GoFundMe for her that now has over 6 figures in it. And now that's more money than she was ever going to be making for however many years at Burger King. And like, I don't know. I feel like this might be a case where justice prevailed. Now, granted, reparations should come from the douchebag who started this whole thing. But the point is her being fired is not going to be, it's not going to be a real difficult time for her right now to lose that Burger King job. That's my point.
No, definitely not. But we certainly appreciate her efforts, as do the
Absolutely.
Palestinians.
Okay, Ariana.
Good. Good for her. Good for her.
It's inspiring.
Exactly. Fuck Burger King.
And did you notice the distinction between the two? What the real distinction here is? One side is reacting with vitriol, vulgar anger, violence. The other side, which is the one that is really being oppressed and decimated, still have a way about them that is beyond impressive. How they keep it together, I don't know. But we do know that Zionism is going to fail. Israel will fall. And maybe we'll be able to pick up some of those pieces after it's all said and done. But it certainly isn't happening fast enough. So that's why we have to keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah. Are you like on time with me? Like, do you hear me? Can you understand?
It's okay
me?
now. For now.
You're on a delay is what it is. I know, it's awesome. She raised $245,178 so far on her GoFundMe.
It's almost to a T what I thought she would get. I did say, if you guys remember, over a week ago, I said she'd get 250,000. That's what I thought she would get. And that's where she's at. And I can only hope and pray, because she is young, that she does put it to good use.
Yes.
But I'm confident she will. So, yeah, great job, Zio Scum. You really did yourself good on that one. Keep getting people fired and watch what happens. Everyone is going to turn against you, because what's going to end up happening, like I said, whether she sues the RBI, I think it was called, I made a mistake. I thought it was Yum Brands. It's actually Restaurant International Corporation or some. Again, this is the thing about private equity. Private equity owns Burger King. And so you have to make it economically toxic for anyone to want to deal with Zionists, to make them realize that, yeah, it's not good for our business to do business with them. The whole attitude has been, we just don't want to deal with them, so we'll adhere to their wishes. This has to turn itself on its head. Sure, why not?
We could try.
We do have somebody who is coming on our show now, Jen.
Yes. I know. This is great. You know, we're going to like sandwich the capitalist in the middle. Let's do it. Let's do it.
That's what Caleb has been obviously a guest on the show before. He's returning again. When we're looking for ways to figure out how to prioritize a populist movement outside of electoral politics, Caleb Maupin is somebody who is definitely well-versed and can easily share some sentiments in terms of how we can continue pushing that forward. Welcome back to Revolutionary Change.
Sure. Glad to be here.
Hi, it's good to see you. It's good to see you. It's always nice to have somebody else on my team here with this guy. Somebody who understands the importance of the collective. Thank you. I
never said I didn't understand that.
Whatever, capitalist, whatever.
Caleb, you came on this evening, obviously, because you do have this big event that's coming up this weekend. So let's get it right out of the way. The American Revolution, End the British Empire System and its wars. Center for Political Innovation National Convention in Chicago, August 15th. Doors open at 9 a.m. Floor is yours, brother. Tell us about this event.
Well, right now I'm in an Airbnb with our team from around the country that's assembled to put on the convention on Saturday. And we're going to have a beautiful event. Doors open at 9 a.m. You can go register on our website if you'd like to attend. It's going to be great. But tomorrow, we're actually headed to a couple key sites in Chicago. We're going to be protesting France out of Africa at the French consulate around 4 or 5 p.m. in the afternoon, raising the issue of Ukraine's involvement in attacking the people in West Africa, the Union of Sahel states as well. That's going to be good. We've got some other demonstrations planned, and the whole day on Saturday is going to be about building a movement. That's what we need. I'm really glad you brought me in by talking about building a movement beyond electoral politics, because if this country has ever needed an anti-war movement, it's right now. You know, the crazy thing, so this image that we used to promote it, that is an image from July 4th, 1976 at the Bicentennial in Philadelphia. They had a big patriotic celebration with President Gerald Ford, and thousands of people gathered, and those were Vietnam veterans marching behind this banner, "We won't fight another rich man's war," July 4th, 1976. And we've been promoting this image like crazy this year. And this is actually the cover that we used for one of our textbooks in CPI called Out of the Movement to the Masses. I've done whole podcasts about the history, July 4th, 1976. And so a couple weeks ago, Marco Rubio published this State Department document. I don't know if you saw it, about Cuban influence in America. And it listed all kinds of groups he said were linked to Cuba. Page 45 of the document, with no explanation, no caption, it has nothing to do with the text. What picture does he put? That image, right?
Really?
Yeah, and we saw that.
It has nothing to do with Cuba.
Exactly. And we said that's a sign that, you know, the fact we were promoting our convention with that poster, the fact that it's on the cover of one of our books, the fact that we've been promoting it, that tells us that what we do at the Center for Political Innovation is very carefully watched by the American government. And, you know, I have spoken with Russian President Putin directly. I did have a sit-down face-to-face exclusive with Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi. And we at the Center for Political Innovation, we have been doing everything we can. We've distributed thousands of books about the Houthis, Ansar Allah in Yemen, educating people about how that's an anti-colonial movement of some of the poorest people in the world fighting against imperialism and Zionism. Yeah. So we're being watched, no question about it. They may not consider us to be Cuban agents like they do some of these other groups they listed. But first of all, we have to be clear, we oppose any kind of McCarthyism, any kinds of attempts to paint people as foreign agents for wanting peace or better relations with any country, Cuba, Russia, Zimbabwe, whoever it may be. And what we need more than anything is a movement for ourselves, because it's the American people that are getting screwed by this global system. Around the world, our leaders are sending billions and billions of dollars around the world for wars and military bases, propping up Israel and their crimes. They're not doing it to protect average Americans. They're doing it to protect an international financial system. And that international financial system is the kind of thing we declared independence from 250 years ago on July 4th, the British Empire system. And that's what we need to revive the spirit of 1776 and say we got to take our country back from globalism, imperialism. That's what our conference is going to be about. And I'm really excited about it. We've published a new book about the Union of Sahel States. We've published a lot of material. There's going to be some special guest speakers. We got Matt Weinglass, who's coming. I don't know if you know him from Homeless Left. He'll be a guest speaker who's coming to town. We're excited to hear his remarks. We've got some other local activists and others that we're going to be honoring. It's going to be a great day, and I hope people will join us. Dinner will be served in the evening. So if you want to have a nice dinner.
Now Peter will go. Now you got him.
It's going to be at a local community hall. It's going to be great. And we're very, very excited. Look, we need a culture of resistance. You know, podcasts are great, and I'm glad that we're podcasting, but, you know, it needs to transform into action. We need people out in the streets. You look at on the island of Taiwan, it came out that a whole bunch of cooking oil, soy cooking oil, was tainted and poisoned. And so, some of it was delivered to schools and was in the food at school. So what did the people do? By the tens of thousands, they poured out into the streets to demand accountability for the fact that dangerous toxins were in their food. And they poured into the streets by the thousands. And now the government is on the defensive and all of that. That's the kind of culture we need in America. And at one time, we did have that kind of culture. There was an understanding that we didn't have to take this, right? If our leaders were, you know, screwing us over massively like they are right now, we could do something about it. We could build a movement. That's the kind of culture we need to revive. Other countries, people understand that, but we've kind of gotten away from the protest culture in America. We've gotten away from the notion that we can hold our leaders accountable by doing something other than going into a voting booth every 4 years. So we need to bring that kind of culture back.
Yeah, I agree. You touched on something before, and I want to go back to it because a lot of people do not know when you say the Sahel states, right? Like, I know where you're talking about, but explain. I mean, are you talking about like Burkina Faso, Mali, like what? And explain further, like why that is relevant to the broader movement. Okay, like I caught it when you were saying it, but I know there are people that don't know what the Sahel states are, and it's Western Africa, right?
Yes.
It's the north part.
Yes. In West Africa, you have 4 countries, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. And they've all had anti-colonial popular revolutions. These are former French colonies. And they have been dealing with a big problem of terrorism sponsored by, you know, Wahhabi extremist groups and tied to Ukraine, by the way. Our government is sending money to Ukraine. Ukraine is sending weapons to these terrorists. And all 3 of these countries, the military came to power and kicked out the French. Even though they were nominally independent, the French were still running the place. And they kicked out the French in 2023. They had an anti-colonial revolution to build up their people. And they've partnered with China and they've partnered with Russia, and they're raising their people up. It's one of the most optimistic things on the planet right now. And I'm all about focusing on the positive, what could be won, right? We can talk about how awful Israel's crimes are and how awful the crimes of the imperialists and this evil war against Iran. But let's talk about the positive. If you look at the Union of Sahel States, what they are doing, this great leader, Ibrahim Traore, who has just done so much. I mean, he's building fisheries and, you know, providing education and, you know, building new universities. I mean, it's like they are just raising their people up. That's what we could have.
And he is the greatest threat to democracy.
Oh, he's this, man. That man, if you were to look up Zero Fucks to Give about Western power over, glorious. Yeah. He's glorious. Yes.
Yeah, he is carrying on the legacy of Thomas Sankara, who led a revolution in Burkina Faso a generation ago. And he is building that country up. He's bringing Christians and Muslims together, which is very, very important, because how the French were keeping the country divided. They had this, you know, these extremist, you know, Wahhabi terrorist groups, and they were dividing Muslims and Christians. And so now in Burkina Faso, preaching religious bigotry of any kind is actually a crime. And they're trying to bring together the Christian and Muslim people, and they're focusing on economic development. And it's a model for what a government could do. If we actually had a government that was focused on raising people up and investing in the population rather than investing in wars and prisons and derivative rip-off schemes and big pharma scams, et cetera. If we had a government that was actually investing in people and viewed human beings as the source of wealth, right? That human beings are the source of wealth and value. That's the kind of government we want. You know, communism is my background. I come out of Marxism. I worked with Ramsey Clark, the former U.S. Attorney General under Lyndon Johnson. I was part of Occupy Wall Street. But I'm now calling myself an innovationist because what I believe in is that human beings, we're taught that humans are a cancer, that humans are the problem. They're not the problem. Humans are the answer. Now, human creativity and brilliance is unlike any other species, but we don't have a state that cultivates human creativity and allows people to live up to their full potential. We have a government that instead views human beings as kind of a dangerous horde to be managed. Malthusianism is the problem. Go ahead.
Cogs, they're cogs in the machine. They just that's the way we're undereducated for that purpose, to be used as cannon fodder. Let's be real.
Yeah, and we should be investing in our people. And if you look at the countries that are rising right now, China, with the world's largest telecommunications manufacturer, making half the steel in the world, their people are just lifting up 800 million people lifted from poverty. That's because they're investing in their people. And the market is part of it, right? Having private companies, but having a state that says the profits of those corporations can't get in the way of the overall plan of national development, right? Where the banks and the factories and industries are controlled and forced to work in the interest of society. That's what I understood being a socialist or a communist to mean, but now it means all kinds of different things to all kinds of different people, right? If you talk about communism in America, it immediately turns into a conversation about making everyone equal. Well, I don't want to make everyone equal because the only way to make everyone equal is to have absolute abundance. And until we have abundance for all, there is going to be inequality. The road to equality is abundance, right? And that's what Marx wrote in his critique of the Goethe program, right? That when we build a society where technology advances to the point that labor becomes life's prime want, no longer a necessity, when we get to a world where human labor power is to the point that springs of cooperative wealth can flow more abundantly, then yes, the divisions can break down. The division between mental and physical labor can vanish, and people can do what they feel like doing and take what they want from each according to his own ability to each according to his needs. But the basis of that has to be vast abundance. And during the Cold War, a lot of the countries that had communist revolutions made the mistake of trying to create equality in poverty. And that doesn't work. You can't create equality in poverty, right? And the point of controlling the means of production and rationally organizing the economy is to create the abundance that can lead to equality. But the trap of trying to create equality in poverty, it really kind of held a lot of countries back. And I think we're in a new stage, and that it's not the same as it was during the Cold War, and that every ideology is dividing. There are people on the left that are serving the system, and there are people on the left that are anti-imperialist. There are people on the right that are serving the system, and there are people on the left and on the right that are doing a great job, and that every ideology is being divided. And we need to focus on what is it we're for, what is it we're trying to achieve. And the main thing is we've got to stop these wars, and we've got to stop the danger of a new world war and the emerging police state here at home.
Let me ask you that. So what is your thought? I mean, I'm an abolitionist, and that is something I have been talking a lot about and did a series of panels on that. But I feel like we cannot have a revolution without abolition.
Of prisons?
Of all of it. I mean, it's the whole boot on our neck. It's like we cannot revolt and also simultaneously be funding the boot on our neck.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that it really gets down to is that at this point, what humanity overwhelmingly wants, I mean, it's just the natural way human beings are. We want growth. We want to have more than we had before. We want our kids to have a better life. But this system can't handle that, right? This system needs massive degrowth in order to stabilize itself. Yes. And because of that, all they can do is degrow. And so we need to build what, the Communist Party back in the 1950s, they talked about an anti-monopoly coalition of the small business owners, of the working class, of people all throughout society who want economic growth. And it's the big monopolies that want degrowth so they can stay at the top forever. And if we can build an anti-monopoly coalition and kind of divide on the basis of, are you for economic growth and unleashing human potential, or do you buy into this pessimistic view that we just have to have less and humanity is the problem? And that seems to be the basis on which we could move toward building something, right? That, you know, and just saying you're against and you want to tear it down, in a way that kind of serves the system. And that's, you know, that's kind of the manipulation that's going on right now. I think that what happened in Italy during the 1970s, the years of lead, they called it, right? That was a way that, even though the Italian public wanted to leave NATO, they were overruled, because with Operation Gladio, the CIA fomented all kinds of crazy political violence where people didn't know who was who and who was on what side. And as a result, the Italian public that wanted to leave NATO, the left, the right, everybody wanted out of NATO, was overruled because they created a hysterical atmosphere of political violence. And we need to not let that be. And we need to build a solid bloc that wants an anti-monopoly, pro-growth, pro-humanity government. The overwhelming majority of the American people want to end these wars. They want their freedoms to be protected, and they want the economy to get better. And that is what the populist majority coalition can be based on. We need to forget the issues. Some things we're just never going to see eye to eye on in America. Let's be real about that. But wanting to fix our economy, wanting to protect our freedoms, and wanting to end these wars is overwhelming majority sentiment, but the government doesn't do it.
Yeah, that's what we always say. This is a class war. This is a class war.
If there is a priority that I think most of us agree on, it is single-payer healthcare. There is no question that the numbers have been updated to about $1 trillion a year is how much we would save. And we would save roughly 115,000 lives per year just by having full coverage. Nothing more. That's not even getting into the logistics about proper health screenings, mental health screenings. I mean, suicide, I think, is the #1 cause of death in the United States.
Wow.
There's no question that the biggest issue that I see in this country when it comes to our health is lack of mental health care. And so having a single-payer healthcare system with people's ability to actually go and get therapy and do the things that they need to figure out how to, you know, better themselves and deal with their issues is something that, you know, among many reasons, is what we need. Now, obviously, something very significant is about to happen. Evidently, Luigi Mangione, who obviously is somebody we've paid very close attention to, is intending to plead guilty to the murder of the former CEO of United Health. We don't know for certain if this is what is or is not going to go down, but he is expected to plead guilty in the New York federal case. The trial is set to begin next month. Mangione's state case in connection with the fatal shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. How do you ultimately see this unfolding? And is this going to hurt the movement in any way, or do you think this is just going to enrage people on the premise that he's admitting guilt? You know,
and wait. Before you get into that, you need to understand the strategy here. So if you're not going to, yes. So my understanding is that this is so in trade that they're going to drop the state cases. Okay. So what this is going to do is it's going to change the entire dynamic of what kind of trial we're looking at here. You're not going to be dealing with the circus that you're going to have that you would have in a state trial. It's not going to be the same kind of thing. So we need to understand why, and then wait and see if that does actually happen, because it hasn't happened yet. So yeah. I don't know, but there is a strategy to this that involves trading off the state cases. And all I know is his attorney is brilliant. She's brilliant. So whatever this is,
well, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I wasn't 100% certain.
I'm just like, understand that there's a strategy here. Yeah.
Yeah. Ben, can you scroll down for a minute, please? Caleb, how do you see this kind of unfolding? Because I think the assassination really woke a lot of people up to the realities that if you think it's going to stop here, it's not. More and more people are going to get to a point. We were talking before about what's going on the USS Lincoln and the fact that you have, Navy cadets jumping ship, literally. You know, at what point do people just say, well, I can't vote my way into a single-payer healthcare system, so what can I do to force the powers that be to get us the healthcare system that every major developed country on earth has?
So my view of the Luigi Mangione case is a little bit different than your standard, view in these spheres. in that, first of all, I have my doubts about his guilt. I look at the details of the case and I'm thinking, okay, this guy, you're telling me he's so good. He got all the way into Manhattan. He pulled off a shooting. He had the bullets decorated, everything, got all the way out of Manhattan, which is one of the most surveilled and highly policed, parts of the country, got all the way to Altoona, Pennsylvania, and then was so stupid to leave his manifesto on the table. Something doesn't add up about that. I have questions there. I'm not a forensics expert, but and then some of the other issues there. But my main concern with Luigi Mangione is, I hate to be a stickler here, but what we need to get national health care and the health care that Americans deserve is not isolated lone wolf acts of terrorism. It's a mass movement, right? And that I look at what the CIA did with the years of lead in Italy, where people were getting assassinated by the Italian social movement on the far right and the Red Brigades on the far left. And I look at that and I look at the response to the murder of Charlie Kirk and, the way there was all kinds of people that were celebrating it on the one hand, and then there was all kinds of people on the right that were saying, oh my God, the left all wants to kill us because these people are celebrating. And I feel that urging and encouraging people to engage in political violence is not the answer. And that's kind of a confusion. A lot of people think that socialism or revolutionary movements are about violence. That's not the case. We want a peaceful transformation. We'd like to move toward a peaceful transformation toward a society where the people come first. But we have the understanding that the rich and powerful are going to do everything they can to stop it. And as much as they claim to believe in democracy, when mass movements emerge that demand such things, they tend to get violent and move towards suppressing people's democratic rights. And at that point, we're Americans. We have the Second Amendment right to defend ourselves. And it may come to a point where the Americans have to defend democracy, with arms like Abraham Lincoln did. Those slaveholders didn't want to follow the Constitution and didn't want to recognize him as president because it was a threat to their property. So they, were violent, and Abraham Lincoln then defended democracy and built a huge coalition that included Harriet Tubman as the first woman to ever lead U.S. soldiers into battle, that included, Marxists like the Ohio 9th Infantry Regiment and the labor movement and Frederick Douglass and others. And they had a revolution. The U.S. Civil War was a revolution, but people had tried to move peacefully to not even abolish slavery, but to just restrain the power of the slaveholders. And their response was so violent that they had no choice but to have a violent revolution. But we should always be clear that we do not advocate a violent revolution. We advocate a peaceful revolution. And the only way a violent revolution would happen is if the democratic process was not allowed to proceed. And if our democratic rights and our peaceful movement was not allowed to proceed, which there's a very good chance could happen. But we need to be clear.
Like we're there. I feel like we're there. This is where, and I have to disagree, because I look at what is violent as different, right? So Brian Thompson was committing violence.
Yeah.
Denying healthcare and to people, knowing that you're doing it to people wrongly, knowing that your system doesn't work and you're wrongly doing, that's violent. Yeah. So to me, Luigi Mangione is defense of self, defense of others. If it is him, and I agree. I mean, it's got Patsy written all over it too, right? Like that's the side issue. But even just this premise, it's like, that is not the level of violence in a society is determined by the oppressor, not the oppressed, right? Right. So that's where we're at. And you're not going to find, I don't think you'll find 12 jurors to convict him. And while you were saying that, I also realized something else. I think I now understand what she's doing, because if she gets the state cases dropped and they focus on the federal case, which is exactly what went down in Pennsylvania, because now you're talking cross state lines. So that's the federal case. That's their weakest shit. So that's where they could end up getting it down to something else, because she knows their evidence sucks. Yeah. So that might be the strategy.
Yeah, well, I certainly agree with what you said about the fact that people are being denied health care is a crime and is violent and is murderous. No question about it. And I also would agree that even the healthcare that people do get in this system is murderous, right? It's not, healthcare, it's sick care in a lot of ways, right? And that moving toward a national healthcare system, the focus should be on preventive care. Care where people, it's not just that people get sick and then you sell them pills afterwards. It's people don't get sick in the first place. And especially with mental health, a big factor in that is social media. And that's because the algorithms are rigged to make money. What if we had algorithms that were rigged to make our kids smarter? or healthier or more productive, right? Imagine that we had social media that was designed to make people the best people they could be. Wouldn't that be so much better? But that might not be profitable for private owners, right? And Facebook is basically a monopoly. X, Twitter is basically a monopoly. Well, if it's a monopoly, it should be a utility. Rather than a private company, and it should be subject to the kind of regulation that the power company or the airwaves is subjected to. And I think that needs to be an aspect of it. But as far as the Luigi Mangione case, right? I'm not disagreeing with anything you said there about sick care, about many people believing that this kind of thing is the answer. But my thought is, let's imagine that if instead of one lone wolf killing, assuming he did it, I don't know that he actually did it.
Right.
Imagine that 300 people had gone to the headquarters of United Healthcare and had a civil disobedience. And there were people among them that were Republicans, and people among them that were Democrats, and people among them that were libertarians, and people among them that were Marxists. And they all agreed on one thing, which is this has got to stop and we need national health care. And they got arrested symbolically there one by one. And they learned to work together in the process of doing it. And they learned how to get the media to cover it. And they learned how to kind of overcome any differences that they had. And they learned about it, and they carried out a really effective, amazing civil disobedience. And then in the process of doing it, all of the people involved learned how they could do it again, and do it again in another city, and do it again with their network of people. And all of a sudden, people were getting involved in a mass movement all over the country, confronting these healthcare companies, saying that business will not proceed as usual unless we get the healthcare we deserve, and that voting for politicians who promise it to us when they don't do it is not enough. We got to be in the streets and do something about it. That would be inspiring. That would make people want to get involved. That would make people excited, and they could meet people. They could be in a community. They could develop a sense of brotherhood. They would learn new ideas and bounce ideas off of each other. It would create a wave of positive energy and momentum that could actually get us the healthcare that we need. And something like that was just kind of starting to happen. Do you remember the Medicare for All marches? Right? There was just kind of an idea that maybe people on the left and the right and other places could come together to march for Medicare for All. And what made me concerned was that when that happened, right, I remember that all these voices from the mainstream of the left immediately attacked the Medicare for All marches because some Republicans were there, because some former Nazi who was going to speak at something was there. And, oh, if you went to the Medicare for All marches, you were a bad person. You must be a secret anti-vaxxer. You were this, you were that. And it was like going to the Medicare for All marches was a crime against humanity. That was the memo of the cancel culture left that went out. But yet, shooting somebody down on the streets, an act of lone wolf assassination by these same voices, was immediately celebrated. And I'm like, what's the deal here? We're not allowed to have a mass movement, but we're allowed to commit murder? What's going on here? And that made me immediately suspicious. But I feel like that, a lone wolf act of assassination is a pessimistic act. Right? Nobody, I'm sure if Luigi actually did it, he wasn't thinking, I'm going to kill him and then they're going to give us national health care. But no, it was, this guy is a murderer. This guy is somebody who's depriving people of rights. And, and I think he had allegedly personally suffered. He had back injuries or whatever. And I've been made miserable. So I'm going to take revenge. I'm going to take down one of the bastards is going to get it. Well, that's not the vibe spiritually that builds a movement. It's just not, right? That's just a very pessimistic, dark way. I wrote a book in response to the Luigi Mangione thing. I wrote a book called The Danger of an American Years of Lead, where I talked about, the Italian years of lead and how that, it seemed very revolutionary, these people going out with guns and all of this, but it actually led Italian society in a very, very bad direction. And it was a CIA operation. We now know Operation Gladio. In that piece, I wrote, one of the chapters is called Luigi Mangione, the New Abstract Painter. And I talked about abstract art and how the CIA funded abstract art to counter social realism. There was a school of art called social realism that celebrated ordinary people, celebrated labor unions and mass movements. There's beautiful paintings, in the Kansas State Capitol building. There's just a beautiful painting of John Brown, the abolitionist, holding a rifle above his head. There's beautiful murals. You go to the International Longshore Warehouse Union Hall in San Francisco, just beautiful murals of working people, black and white, together, standing against imperialism and all of that, right? And that was social realism, and the CIA hated that. And so they funded abstract art because abstract art doesn't make you feel confident. It makes you feel confused and disoriented. And there's all kinds of stuff about, there was a great essay a few years back about, it's called How the CIA Flattened Literature. right? And that it used to be we had popular writers that everybody read, like John Steinbeck, for example, right? That everybody read, right? That people read them, but they promoted high art that was really teaching people philosophy. And now we have a whole lot of very highfalutin literature that only literature professors in college read, that nobody else reads. And we have, Harry Potter and 50 Shades of Grey. We have, kind of pulp for the masses. And then we have stuff that is, for academics and all of that. That's the kind of polarization we don't need. We need high art for the masses. And the CIA with their, operation, the Congress for Cultural Freedom operation, where they started subsidizing experimental music and abstract art and all of that, they got into a situation where, quote unquote, high art is funded by these think tanks. It's not stuff that people actually want to look at. And all the masses get is this kind of cheap commercial pulp. We don't have high art for the masses that inspires them and makes them feel confident. Beethoven, you listen to Beethoven's symphonies, right? I mean, Beethoven was the first commercial artist, right? And he wrote high art for the masses that inspired people. And William Shakespeare, right? Yeah, it was one of the first. It was very similar, right? In that he was producing plays to be seen by the people that had very powerful messages, right? It wasn't like you just had crass stuff and then you had stuff that the elites wanted to see. You had high art for the masses, inspiring people. That's what we really urgently need in our time. We don't need the pessimism of just kind of vengeance. Well, this attitude, well, my life sucks, so there's somebody out there that I blame for it, so I'm going to hurt them on my way out. That's just not what I want people to have, right? Yeah.
However, and this is something where JFK was very prophetic, where he said, if you make peaceful revolution impossible, violent revolution becomes inevitable. And Jen has been saying for a decade that your peaceful revolution was Bernie Sanders in 2015 and 2016. And not only did they steal the election from Bernie, Wasserman Schultz 1,000% led the efforts to steal that primary. Then they decided to bring Russia into the equation as a, don't follow the, it's like the red laser pointer on the wall. You're like a distracted cat. No, it's really this thing over there. They could have easily and could still easily start World War III. We talk all the time about how when you say that electoral politics is not going to bring you salvation in the United States, it's a prime example of just that. I think we have reached a point now where violence is not necessarily what we're looking for, but it's certainly understandable. There is no way that you can look at, especially with what Israel is doing, and knowing full well that we are involved in it, that we live in a country, and this is one of the biggest reasons why you have the crossover between progressives and libertarians. We do not have taxation with representation. We're being told to pay for things that we have absolutely no say in whatsoever. And so when people are talking about, are we responsible for blowing up children in Gaza? Yes, in one way, shape, or another, we are responsible for that. And so now you have to ask yourself, what is it going to take before the system either breaks peacefully or if it breaks violently? But this system that we've been living under, that has been the construct for 250 years, it's not going to last. How fast it disintegrates, I don't know, but we're definitely heading in the direction, or as Jen says, currently are in some type of a revolution. We don't know where it's going to land. The question is, how are we going to put certain elements in place to make sure that we can have a softer landing than a lot of empires of yesteryear end up falling apart completely as a result of the people just having enough. The question is, what does that future look like?
I'm really glad you raised the moral responsibility that we all have, because we don't want to get too economically deterministic and just say, well, people, it's in their economic interest. We do have a moral responsibility to stop what our government is doing in Gaza, or at least do everything we possibly can to stop the U.S. government's support for Israel. And that, that one thing that has always annoyed me, and I just can't stand, is the way there are certain people that are so happy to take a stand against what some government on the other side of the world is doing, but don't have the courage to stand up against their own government. When I was in college, the Iraq War protest was a big thing. I was always trying to organize Iraq War protests on my campus. And the Hillel Club at my college, a bunch of Zionists, they weren't interested in the Iraq War protests, but they were having protests to save Darfur, to protest what some government in Africa that was aligned with China allegedly was doing. And I'm saying you're having protests against some government on the other side of the world while your own government is literally occupying a country in the Middle East, killed hundreds of thousands of people. And instead of doing anything to oppose that, you're going to protest and take the moral high ground. Oh, I'm just so morally outraged. I've got to stand up for Darfur. Give me a break. And that is one thing I've never understood is these people that are protesting whoever it's easy to protest. They're condemning China. They're condemning Russia. They're condemning North Korea. But when it comes to the American government, ooh, that might hurt somebody's feelings. Ooh, there might be somebody who disagrees with me. It's not heroic at all to take a stand against some government on the other side of the world when your own government is guilty of so many crimes, right? And I do believe we do have a moral and ethical responsibility to hold our own government accountable for its crimes before we go around trying to take the moral high ground, and be the next, who's that Hollywood actor who was doing the Save Darfur thing? I don't know, George Clooney, right? And be George Clooney, taking a stand against Darfur or some of this other nonsense, and it is really frustrating to watch. There are some people that will believe every CNN propaganda story about Russia or China or Iran, but the second you point out what our government is doing or enabling and funding Israel to do, they go, ooh, I'm not sure about that. Ooh, it's more complicated. And they just don't want to talk about it. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
We are the most propagandized nation in the world.
Well, especially since it's interesting, like people will think about other countries as such the other. And I keep trying to explain, like, oligarchs don't have borders, right? Like, these people don't have borders. So the borders are only serving to divide up the 90%, right? Or the 99%. That's all it's doing. So all of those kind of judgment things are just a distraction. Why are we talking about other countries? And like, what? Please.
Well, and here's another thing, right? There's all this anger at immigrants from the Trump camp. Oh, these people, these immigrants. Well, I'll tell you, there's a group of immigrants I'm very angry at, right? And I'm tired of dealing with them. And that's the Miami Cubans who are trying to lobby us to get into a war with the Cuban government. That's the Falun Gong crowd from China that want to get us into World War III against China. That's the Shahs of Sunset Park, and all of this. And we're supposed to be mad at a guy from Guatemala who comes and washes dishes to send money to his kids back in Guatemala. But these conservatives are totally fine with people, wealthy Persians, who come here and are trying to lobby us into a war to get our kids killed and shot, not because they care about America, but because they want to settle the score in some kind of family vendetta against the Islamic Republic. Or Miami Cubans who come here, they hate Fidel, and they don't care about America. They just want to get America into a new conflict, and they want to settle the score with the communists. They want revenge on Fidel, and they want to get, these are the foreigners that we should be concerned about.
You can throw in the Venezuelans, the wealthy white Venezuelans in South Florida that are all gung-ho. This were like the Juan Guaido supporting crowd.
Yeah, those are the immigrants we should be concerned about. They're the ones that are doing real damage to our country.
I think we should be done with Israelis. That's the number. I left South Florida because of the infestation. You want to talk about the worst possible immigrants in this country? Hands down, Israelis. Yeah. Israelis. I can't think of more despicable immigrants than Israelis. So that's where we should start. I mean, I would start with them, but.
Yeah.
And just remember, the people who always push for war are always the people who would be the last to ever fight it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see we call them the Ukrainiacs, right? The people out there with the Putin signs. And I see a lot of them that are my age or younger. And I say, they're dragging every last Ukrainian man off the street. If you're so excited to keep this war going, why are you not in Ukraine fighting? Right? You're here instead trying to lobby Americans to get involved. What's going on here? Right? It's particularly outrageous. And that, I'm far more outraged about these foreign elements that are trying to get us into conflicts for their own personal thing than I am about people who just come here to feed their families. And I think a lot of people are concerned. Look, we do have to realize, and this is where I stray from the standard leftist narrative a little bit. Look, I believe people should be able to immigrate and travel, but the fact that so many people can't live in their own country, the fact that countries like Honduras and Mexico and Guatemala and, El Salvador have been just devastated by wars, and that, where did all that start? That was in the 80s. The U.S. government was arming the Contras and arming paramilitary elements, and we were arming drug cartels basically to fight against socialism. And as a result, these drug cartels got access to high-grade weapons, and they've been waging terror in Central America ever since. And, they always give you a body count for communism. Communism killed add up the body count from the 1980s to today of all the people killed by these drug cartels, right? MS-13, none of that would ever have happened if it hadn't been for our government going down there and giving guns to criminals because we want to use them against socialist governments. And the body count that's resulted from that, not just in terms of people directly killed, but in terms of the economy and lack of development and people living in terror and society not being able to function from those drug cartels. I mean, the blood there is on the hands of the military industrial complex, and it's on the hands of the forces that were so committed to waging wars in Central America. And we have to talk about that. That was a man-made humanitarian crisis. And if those countries were able to have economic development and establish their independence, do what the Union of Sahel States, people like Ibrahim Traore, have done, there wouldn't be so many people fleeing up north. Would there be? I mean, people would be able to live in their country and be prosperous. If we, a while back, my organization, the Center for Political Innovation, we put forward an idea for an anti-immigration policy that we called it. And it was called the Sandino-Zapata Economic Corridor. Have America and Mexico and Nicaragua and China team up and have a corridor of economic development in Central America. Bring jobs, education, build high-speed railway. And if people had economic opportunity and they weren't getting involved in these drug cartels and there was investment pouring in, that you wouldn't have an immigration issue. There wouldn't be people trying to cross the border and dying in the process because there would be economic prosperity. Economic prosperity, you look at China, what they've done with the Belt and Road Initiative, where they just build up the countries they trade with. Russia is very similar with what they've done with the Eurasian Economic Union or their cooperation with the Union of Sahel States. If we were building up the people that we traded with and building infrastructure and creating economic opportunity, people wouldn't be fleeing in big numbers to get out of the countries they're in.
Yeah,
you sound like a Putin puppet, Caleb. Are you a Putin puppet?
Maybe.
We normally don't do this, but this is what I want to do while he's here. It's from Sonia. Caleb, you've written so many books. Please tell me which one I should read first. I don't know where to begin. I see over 20 online to choose from.
Right. So I write a lot of books that are like little pamphlets, right? I give a presentation on a topic and then we do a pamphlet version, or I take smaller pieces of my bigger works that are on a niche topic. But if you really want to know what I'm all about, get a copy of Imperialism and Anti-Imperialism. That's over 500 pages. It's got speeches that I've given in different parts of the world. It's got different key articles that I've had published. It's got everything in there. Imperialism and Anti-Imperialism. That's my latest book. It's a compilation of a lot of years of different work. It's got my confrontation at the State Department with John Kirby about Israel's nuclear weapons program. That was a pretty good moment. It's got the article I wrote that was published in North Korea's daily state newspaper, Rodung Singmun. It's got a lot in there. Stuff going back to the Occupy Wall Street days, stuff from when I was first reporting. All kinds of different things are included in that text. Speeches I gave in Iran, presentations I've given at Center for Political Innovation gatherings, articles on the Palestine movement and how we can maneuver around and get to the masses of people. That's what we really need. We don't need niche politics. We need mass populist politics. And that's what the elite are really, really afraid of. They love to do the red team versus blue team. Right. Yes. If we, you can be on the left and you can be critical, but as long as you just scream bloody murder about the right, Trump, they're so awful, they'll let you do it. If you're on the right and you are critical of different things, but you just scream bloody murder, the left are so bad, they'll let you do it. But the second you start saying the problem is the billionaire monopolies and the big bankers that are running our country, and the left and the right need to come together to deal with that. And we need to build a real, genuine populist coalition. That's the moment that you get threatened. And I learned that. I went to Iran in 2015. I spoke at a conference in Iran, and I also risked my life on a ship trying to bring medical aid to Yemen. And when I got back to the United States, I became the target of a vicious cancel culture campaign, which I later found out came from Mossad. Alex Reed Ross, who was revealed to have been a State Department operative, basically an intelligence officer, was revealed by the Gray Zone, cooperating with intelligence. He wrote a hit piece on me in Haaretz newspaper. And that was basically the signal that the Israeli state saw me as somebody that was a friend of Iran and a friend of the anti-imperialist forces around the world. And I became a target. And what I thought was frustrating is that there are many people in the social media culture kind of has developed to the point that everyone's competing. It's all competition, right? And that's a problem. We need to understand that an injury to one is an injury to all, right? And that, you know, to people that are not part of our space of different little podcasts and niches and alternative media, we all look the same. Let's be real. We all look the same. Most people can't tell the difference between us. So if one of us is being demonized or defamed, that hurts all of us. And we need to have that kind of solidarity attitude. It needs to not be a big competition for likes and shares and views. It needs to be a mass movement in the streets of people saying, we want our country back and we got to drive out these international monopolies. We want a government of action that works for the people.
Excellent job. Obviously, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Final thoughts before you go. Obviously, remember, guys, this is the event Caleb is promoting this weekend in Chicago. How can people get involved if they don't necessarily are not necessarily able to attend in the Windy City?
Well, the Center for Political Innovation, we have members all across the country. You can become a member. You can come involved. You know, you can join. It's $15 a month to be a member, not very expensive. And, you know, you don't have to be highly involved. We do have weekly membership meetings and we have weekly check-ins and we have different chapters in different regions, but we're always looking to have more members. But if you just want to, you know, get involved in what we're doing, we've been very involved in defending the Uhuru movement and, you know, and their struggle against FBI repression. Yeah. We have been involved in distributing literature and educating people. We put on workshops. So we have regional workshops. I'm going to be in California this fall, most likely to put on some workshops out there, and that there are different ways to get involved. But yeah, Saturday is going to be the big day. Go ahead and register on our website and we'll send you the location. Doors open at 9 a.m. for coffee and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Lots of singing, lots of music, a nice dinner, guest speakers. It's going to be really, really tremendous. So I hope people will join us. Go to cpiusa.org and register for the convention. And I hope to see you all on Saturday. We've got some great stuff. I was just, you know, with people today planning different aspects of the conference. It's really, really great. We have a community. We are building a community of resistance, a network of resistance to imperialism, people that can rely on each other and build each other up. And part of what we're doing for, you know, this weekend, this 7 days surrounding the convention, we're building up for our intervention in the midterms, because the midterms is going to be a political circus. We're not for the red team. We're not for the blue team. We're on the peace team. We're on the anti-war team. And we're on the team of the American working families that are struggling right now. And amid the midterm circus and all the shenanigans, we're going to be in the streets raising anti-imperialism everywhere we can and calling out the war makers and the liars.
Well,
awesome.
You said it correctly, but you didn't say it how you should have said it. And that is, we're going to have a really great event this weekend. It's going to be great. Really great people are coming. Really great people. And you're going to have a great time. You're going to win. You're going to get so sick and tired of winning. So come and win with us. We'll have a great time.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I meant to say.
There you go. Caleb, great to see you, brother. Thank you for all you do. Fighting the good fight.
Always a pleasure. Great work you're doing here, man. I love this podcast. You're doing great stuff. Dare to struggle, dare to win. Thanks.
We'll be in touch. If you've enjoyed the conversation, which we hope you have, please go over to patreon.com/revolutionary change for as little as $5 a month. You can become a supporter of our small but mighty, despite heavily suppressed, yet still growing channel. We're about to finally pass. You know, we've been getting suppressed. We're about to finally pass 130,000 subscribers. I think at last count, we're like less than 30 away. So
still no plaque.
Still no plaque. No way.
And interestingly, our numbers are growing, but the money's going down.
Yes. That makes sense. Yeah. No, we're not crazy. We're just stupid. I'm stupid, as you like to say.
Well, there's no way to understand an algorithm that keeps changing and is completely manipulated. It's not like you can learn an algorithm that you don't ever get to see or understand.
Well, this appears to be a new super chatter for our channel, Berserk Sonia. I do not know what CHF stands for, but does anybody in the chat know? Guys,
I love your... Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You want to read one? Go for
Guys,
it.
I love your job is amazing. Seriously, we have to organize the effing revolution soon. I think an alliance with TYT would be cool. Well, we've had Cenk on a couple of times. I mean, we'll work with anybody really toward the common mission, right? Like we really do. We're pretty flexible. In fact, I saw somebody in the chat telling us that we should be careful because Caleb and there's been controversy and all this stuff and that we shouldn't collaborate. But we will collaborate if it's to get out the message on our mission. Like that's what we're going to do. Everybody has a controversy. I can't get, honestly, we're trying to stop a Holocaust. I can't worry about a lot of the little things.
And credit where credit's due to Cenk, because he has called out AOC very, emphatically, saying that, there really are no excuses now. I mean, I think Cenk will always go where he feels it's best for his business, but I do believe on the key issues that, especially when it comes to healthcare and when it comes to endless war, specifically with Israel, that Cenk is definitely where he should be. So yeah, collaborating with Cenk on, especially on those issues, absolutely. Pirate Justin with the $2. Happy Thirsty Thursday, Revolutionaries. Thank you very much for checking in, my friend. Jim Talib with the $5. Always great to see you. Libertarian Social Dem with the $9.99. I DM'd John Frankman. I told him I stopped supporting Doug Chico over his anti-Muslim post and told him Peter recommended you, and he said Peter is a good guy. Please keep me cool with him and get him with single payer. John is a friend, and I will do what I can. But unfortunately, I will tell you that one of the reasons I am not confident that John will support a single payer system is because he is a devout Catholic and very pro-life. And unfortunately, one of the drawbacks to very religious people, they don't want a single payer healthcare system, because if you had a single payer healthcare system, that's healthcare freedom. And that means that if women choose to do something that he doesn't morally
They don't support my ability to have sole control over my lady parts. See, this is the problem.
Separation of church and state, John.
Separation of everybody and our lady parts.
There you
How
go.
about that?
Judith Ann Campbell with the $10. Those waging this war do have goals. The people in charge of America are purposely trying to destroy America. It's totally intentional. Look, when
It seems it.
Yeah. I mean, even if they're not intending to, but they're at a point where they're like, we can't continue to do what we're doing unless we destroy America, but they're not stopping. That means that they have an exit strategy. They're going to go. Peter Thiel has already got his compound in Argentina. Mark Zuckerberg and several others have compounds in Hawaii, which will, again, Hawaii's not a state. It's a colony. Am I wrong about that, Jen?
No, but again, the Turtle Island has been completely colonized, and we're still just sitting here too. So, but yeah, the Hawaiians are, yeah, they're not liking us.
No. Lahaina definitely should have been the last straw. Maybe it was. Sonia, again, thank you for the $4.99 contribution regarding Caleb's books. Pirate Justin with the $2 again. So, do you no longer believe in democracy, Jen? What democracy? There's no
I
such
believe
thing.
in the theory of democracy, but I do not believe it exists in this country.
No.
So I like the concept of a democracy. It's great in theory. But this country is most definitely not. It's not. And before anybody puts in, we're not supposed to be, we're a republic. I get it. But let's all be real. It's supposed to be a democratic republic. And it is supposed to be of the people, by the people, for the people. So that is the premise of democracy, even though it's a democratic republic. So, because there's always some wise ass that comes in and tells me we're not a democracy.
And a last shout out to Ramu Vinkat with the $5. You guys are doing a good job. Thank you for being here, Robin. We really appreciate it. So, with that said, I think it is safe to say that the Zios are definitely running out of patience with the American people, because they're starting to recognize that their bullshit is not working anymore. And so as a result, they're getting a little aggressive.
They're getting aggressive. So do we need to bring out the Zio hunter?
Yeah, we definitely need to go Zio hunting, because
okay, because there's some people that need to be like dealt with.
Yes, absolutely.
What you're saying.
But
okay.
Now I know that this video is AI. So let's just get this out of the way. But an Israeli content creator, I don't know their name, I don't give a shit who they are. This is something that made the rounds, and the Israelis, all you have to do is look at the commentary and see how they really feel about people. So here's exactly what they did. They're picking up trash on the streets of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. it for this audio. So
Yeah, we can't have this.
I just thought about that.
Yeah.
So Ben, you got to be just be
No,
ready.
we just need to take out the. You just got to take out the audio when we
Yeah, so
post it.
we'll play it again. Very telling, wouldn't you say, Jen?
Well, for me, it's just par for the course, and people who do not know like the history of the region of Palestine, the Zionist state imported a certain amount of Mizrahi Jews, African Jews, Arabic Jews, and they are treated and still treated like second-class citizens in a white supremacist bigoted place, which the Zionist state is. It is absolutely a white supremacist entity, to the point where the Ethiopian Jews that they had like flown in under this guise of we're saving them from their oppression where they are. But then all the women got forced sterilized because they like them so much. They just don't want them to reproduce. Israel is a white supremacist situation. It is an apartheid state. It has nothing to do with Judaism. It's white supremacy colonization. That's what it is. If it was about Jews, then they wouldn't have forced sterilized the Ethiopian Jews, would they? You would want all the Jews to propagate. No,
I mean,
they
yes.
only want the white Jews to propagate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just one. You know, I'm getting an audio feedback. Is that you, Jen?
I don't have anything.
No, it was for a second. No, like I said, I just heard that real quick. But this was also one.
Yes, they do call it a Jewish state because they have used that as a way to garner their supremacist state. They have used the Jews, and yet it is a secular state, and the psychopaths that are in charge are not practicing Jews. They use it like Rabbi Shmuley. These are nothing about how they treat people is the tenets of Judaism. It's not. And to think that it is actually anti-Jewish. It's Jewish hate. So no, Ziohel does not represent Jews. And I will keep saying that. They can say whatever they want. They could say whatever they want. I mean, but that doesn't make it so. I could say that I'm black. Doesn't make it so.
Well, no, I guess not. But
so they can call it whatever they want to. Everything about that state is like an abomination.
The good news is that they are starting to find out that they are not the victims that they have been presenting themselves to the world. And Ben, please check your phone. This is one that is going. This is one from Thailand. Now, the pixelation might not be very strong, so just bear this in mind. This is true amateur video, but they're getting kicked out left and right wherever they go now. And the thing that's funny is that they really think that if they stick a camera in somebody's face, that's going to prove that this person's committing a crime. No, people just do not want to deal with Israelis. And quite frankly, if people don't want to deal with them because they're Jewish, that's their priority as well. You don't like being a victim? Okay, well, you made the entire world into victims with your bullshit, genocidal, colonizing ideology, not just for the past 3 years, for the past 80 plus years. It's just been in everybody's face recently. They're noticing and they're not looking away. So this is an example of what they're now dealing with in Thailand again.
Bye. Hey. Okay. We're leaving because we're from Israel. What have we done to you? We haven't done anything to you.
Okay. What have we done to you? We haven't done anything to you yet. We do a lot of terrible things to other people, but we haven't done anything to you yet. So how come you don't want to do business with us? It's true. And yeah, Per got it right off the bat. He's like, we haven't done anything to you yet. Give it time. You might get there.
Okay, bye. Bye-bye.
What's your name, please, sir?
Fuck you, you know.
Okay. Seriously, what's your name?
Okay.
And just remember something as well. Why do you think they want his name? Why do you think they asked him? Why do you think they asked this guy for his name, Jen? Would you take a guess as to why they would want his name?
So they could get them fired. But it doesn't work. I don't think this works in other countries like it does here. I don't think that getting people fired is like that whole Karen shit. I don't think that works in other countries the same. Someone tell me if I'm wrong, but it just doesn't seem right. Like I would think that, where are they in this?
They are in Thailand.
Okay, yeah. I don't think that they're not firing somebody over this.
So my understanding is that what's essentially happening here is that this Israeli couple showed up to go to some zoo in Thailand, and I believe they needed to present identification. And they presented the identification. The guys saw that they were from Israel, and they told them to get lost. We don't want you here. We are refusing your admittance into our park. And of course, they're losing their minds because they think that they're anti-septic for doing such a thing.
Move off my place. Okay, bye-bye. Move off my place. Bye.
Hey. Okay. We're leaving.
Bye.
I have no sympathy, and nor should anybody else have it. They're getting exactly what they deserve. And we are going to really wrap it into a nice tight bow, because as you guys know, and this is something that I've been doing on the solo show, but Jen gets to enjoy this as well. So the ugliest Zionist of them all, you already know who that is.
Who are we talking about?
So Mr. Shmuley decided to sit down.
Oh my God.
So Shmuley sat down for a conversation on Piers Morgan with the Icelandic man who went by Samuel that told him F Israel. And that made the rounds, and we covered it. But every once in a while, because we know that Piers is very good at maintaining a media personality, he plays the game well. Got to give credit where it's due. He's a grifter, but he's good. Here's what he had to say regarding the Shmuel, the little Shmuel, troll Shmuel coming on there. And he claims, I'm not kidding, he claims that what the Icelandic man Samuel did to him was a hate crime. It's hate crime. Okay, so here's Piers Morgan.
Have accused Samuel of being anti-Semitic and of hating Jews. Nothing that he has said, either in those video clips or here on this program, says that he is anti-Semitic or hates Jews. He just opposes what Israel has been doing in Gaza. And by the way,
which is what?
two-thirds of your own. Wait a minute. Two-thirds of your own country, the United States, now have a negative view of what Israel, the state of Israel, has been doing in Gaza. His opinion is not an outlier. You know that Israel's popularity around the world has been plummeting because of the actions of Benjamin Netanyahu and his government. So the idea that...
No, Pierce. It isn't because of Benjamin Netanyahu.
No, that's the problem with how they always frame this.
That's how they're going to try to wrap this up. That's how they're going to try to salvage the Zio state. And when this is over,
they think if they hang the three stooges, Gavir, Smotrich, and Netanyahu in the town square, that's what's going to solve this problem. And
it isn't.
No, it's not.
It'll be satisfying. It will be satisfying.
Absolutely, it will be. Absolutely, it would be.
Yes, that is why
somebody criticizes Israel or the Israeli government, they are automatically Jew haters or anti-Semitic, as you have tried to frame this, is outrageous and completely wrong. He is not, from anything I've heard, anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish. So why say that?
May I respond?
You've got nothing but respond.
No, excuse me. You asked me why I came to Iceland. I love this country. It's external.
They don't love you. They don't love
I
you,
still don't
Shmuley.
understand. Why are you in Iceland? Why?
Well, I've heard it's beautiful, and I would like to go. It's
Yes,
definitely on my bucket list, but I don't know why they'd let his sorry ass in there.
You see, this is what
Do
I
better,
have
Iceland. Do better.
Yeah, well, again, what would be the main reason? What would be the impetus for them to have? Why would they want to go to Iceland?
Well, I would want to go there because it would probably be very cool, and I wouldn't be hot and sweaty.
Well, but we're not talking about that. What we are talking about is what is the goal of the Zio state? Why would because that's what Schmucky is. Schmucky is the Zio state in troll form. So he basically, he's like Golem from Lord of the Rings. Precious.
Now I actually hold him complicit for Michael Jackson as well.
Oh, 1,000%. He 1,000% was involved in Michael's demise.
I know.
Especially the very inconvenient truth.
No, it's not Owen Jones. It's the man in Iceland that got into it with Shmuley.
Yeah. So I think it's important for people to remember that it's Schmucky is going over there as the troll, as the troll version of the Zio state to basically scout out the nation and figure out how we're going to conquer these people. How are we going to colonize Iceland?
They're just looking for they're just looking for all possible escape routes. And for people asking what happened with him with Michael Jackson is that now it seems pretty apparent to me that he was the handler. He was the Israeli interest handler that was assigned to Michael Jackson as his spiritual advisor.
Yep.
Convenient, right?
Very.
Is unmatched. It should be actually reflected with an internal beauty. Are you aware, Piers, that Iceland from 2003 to 2016 had an Israeli first lady named Dorit Musayev, who was more popular even than her husband, the president. This country once loved Jews, even though they only allowed 8 Jews in during the entire Holocaust. They were under Denmarkian control. Denmark allowed 8,000 Jews in. Wait a second. You're not letting me speak. You're not letting me speak. Israel accusing Israel, the only Jewish state in the world, of a genocide. When this country, this past Sunday, marched for LGBTQ rights, where Hamas takes gay men and castrates them, where Hamas takes...
Doesn't he ever get tired of saying the same stupid shit over and over again?
Oh my God. Look at it. I do not. If why do people invite this up, please? He's so gross. He's just gross.
Well, he's a human troll. He really is. He's just he looks like he could melt at any minute. It's so weird.
Oh God, really exactly. Is. Rabbi butt plug. Let this finish if you have to. I can't take it.
Teenage girls and has their brothers kill them for having a girlfriend.
Was it by coincidence that you went into the only gay bar in Iceland?
Hamas has not had.
What was that, 1 or 2 days after this?
Where Hamas has not had elections 2006. Where Mahmoud Abbas himself, the head of the Palestinians, is afraid to go to Gaza, and has not been there since 2006 because the leader of the Palestinians would be killed. You want Jews to die without defense. Now, as far as
wait a minute. Rabbi Shmuley, sorry.
Now you're attacking gay people. Now you're attacking a gay bar.
Oh my God.
How do you think Passover dinner goes with a guy like this?
I can't, you know what? I can't, I mean, I get it, but this guy is regretting that he agreed to go on with this.
Oh, absolutely. But listen, Samuel is just kind of kicking back and thinking, yeah, he's just.
And this was just a random guy, right? In Iceland before. We didn't know who this was, right? It was just that's what I thought. Just some regular guy. Okay.
Some random guy named Samuel right here who is in Iceland
Walked up
Notice
to
that,
Shmuley.
notice that Schmuckwad was walking around like some downtown area, and he went up to him and said, "Hey, you're Rabbi Shmuley, right? Yeah, fuck Israel."
I
And
love
he
that.
lost his mind. And he comes on to Piers Morgan to say that that was a hate crime.
Good.
And Piers
Well,
is
it
like,
is. That is because we hate Shmuley.
do you think he hates himself?
I honestly, you
mean,
need
he
to let
sells-
this. I can't look at this much longer. I'm going to
We'll finish
vomit.
it up.
You cannot say you just said he wants Jews to die. You've lost your mind, man.
Right.
Because
The
they're
man who
running-
sells sex toys with his daughter.
Yeah.
Is some.
Because they are running out of real estate. I don't know what he thought he was going to. Yes. But I don't even like, again, I don't even like giving him the title of leprechaun because, yeah, who used more bit? There is a photograph of Schmuckwad with a very tight hug around Corey, I'm very straight Booker.
Mm.
So who knows?
Yes, he really does sell
Yes,
sex
he really
toys
does.
with his daughter.
Yes, he does. Mhm. Yep. Yeah, they do. They do Instagram videos together.
Yeah.
Literally holding phalluses and talking
Mhm.
about, well, this one might do good for you, or this one might do good.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly what Travers says.
They, buddy, that you see, exploding vibrate, but yeah,
Like pagers.
yeah,
like
I would
pagers.
definitely not be using anything that would be coming from them.
Mm-mm.
And this is, like I said, it's the same old tropes. It's the same old, we're oppressed. But you go so far as to suggest that it's a hate crime to say fuck Israel. That's how desperate you are. But you see, when you overshoot the target by that much, you end up losing everything because no one will ever take you seriously again. And do I think there is legitimate concern for certain Jews out there today? Sure. It's because of people like Schmuckwad that is happening.
Oh, yeah. For sure. No way
I don't
around
know
it.
how he honestly shows his face anywhere, ever. But the fact that he
No,
thought
it's gross. I wish he wouldn't.
he probably thought that going on to Piers Morgan was going to be, that it was going to be safe for him, that he was going to have somebody who was going to defend him. And then he slowly realized that, oh, you're not actually defending me. You're actually making me have to explain myself, and they can't explain themselves. They're not capable of it. They just say the same bullshit over and over again. You don't like Jews. You want Jews to get killed, and then even Piers is saying, you're out of your mind. So we've come a long way, haven't we? Maybe, just maybe, Schmuckwad's going to get his comeuppance sooner rather than later.
Maybe.
Let's finish with what I think is a very telling situation here. Now, I don't know this guy's full name, but I know that the podcaster that we sat down with, so this is a Zionist who sat down with a conservative political candidate, and it turned into a fisticuffs situation. So I just want to get the guy's name right. Give me 1 second. So the guy's name, okay, so this is more satire than anything else, but the guy's name is Def Noodles, and he apparently is a Republican candidate in Los Angeles, says he's America first, and he sits down for a podcast with a guy named Yosef Haddad. Yosef Haddad openly brags about blowing up Palestinian children.
Genocidal fucking freak. Genocidal fucking freak. You're absolutely coward. You can't do shit, my brother. Dude, stop it. Hey. You can't do shit, my brother. I told you can't do shit.
Isn't it just like a Zio scum to stand behind a group of other men?
Tell me again what this show is. Like, who's who exactly?
So it's a podcast that is hosted by a guy named Yosef Haddadi. It is,
and so the guy in the tie is the podcast host.
No, the guy in the tie and the white shirt is actually the candidate. He goes by Deaf Noodles. This is Los Angeles, so this is not surprising.
And so he's being interviewed by this guy, and why is he attacking him? Because
the name of the podcast, well, I guess it was a debate, because as you know, there's a lot of fighting going on the right now because of the fact that the Israel First versus the America First movement is becoming very real. Essentially, MAGA, if you want. The name of the show is Digital Social Hour Podcast by Sean Kelly. So that's who hosted this conversation. And so this guy, Yosef Haddad.
So who's the host? Which one of these people is the host?
Well, you can't see him right now.
Okay. So he's having both of these people on. Oh, okay.
You can see. So if you look in the back here, the guy sitting down at the head of the table.
Yeah,
that's Sean Kelly. And these two guys, Deaf Noodles on the right, Joseph Haddad on the left. He's hosting this conversation. And as you can see, it's getting very, very volatile because evidently Yosef is okay. So he's an Arab Israeli Christian. Very interesting. And his wife is a psycho. Yes, that's correct. We'll see if we get to that in here.
Fuck off, you genocidal fucking freak. Genocidal fucking freak. Absolutely coward. You can't do shit, my brother. Dude, stop it. Hey. You can't do shit, my brother. I told you can't do shit. I told you can't do shit. Stop it. You can't do shit.
Caught it on video.
I proved my point.
Assault charges.
You can punch in the head, punch in the face, and you go cry your mom.
Bro, don't provoke.
No. It's not provoke.
Just everybody shut the fuck up. You gotta get this guy out of here. You guys are provoking. I know.
Hey, Yusuf, get out! Get out, Yusuf! Get out! Yusuf, get out! Bye! Go! I'm not violent like you. Go! Hey, go! Don't provoke! You can do shit! Go!
Please, don't provoke. Please.
His father didn't approve of the marriage, by the way. His father didn't approve of the marriage.
This is very unsatisfying. Nobody's putting this guy down. This is very unsatisfying.
Well, for some reason, I thought this clip had the whole thing. Evidently, it doesn't. And now I'm going to have to go search for the rest of it because he does.
No, just tell us what happened. You could just tell us what happened.
So they went out into the parking lot. They basically scrapped, and he kept talking shit. And eventually he got smashed, but then a couple of other guys jumped on Noodles. And all the while, his Zio scum of a wife, who is the one that is sitting right over here. Let me see if you could see. Or maybe it's over here. No. Okay.
Is that her? Right there, standing there.
I'm trying to find the spot.
It was when he walked out.
Okay. That's her right there. So that's her sitting down.
Oh, okay.
And when she gets out there, she starts running her mouth. She starts running her mouth at the guy, basically justifying their elitist genocidal bullshit. And again, there is a real movement happening within these conservative circles now, particularly those who identify as America First versus those who identify as MAGA. We call it MIGA. You could call it Israel First. And at the end of the day, little by little, they're all going to fall on the sword, as they should. I mean, at this point, what else do they have to go on? They have completely ostracized themselves from everybody else. The only thing they have left is some form of money and power vacuum that is still relevant for now, but it's not going to last.
No.
So we're done with this shit, as we
Yeah.
all should be.
Yeah.
If, once again, you enjoyed this conversation, which we hope you did, please consider going over to patreon.com/revolutionary change.
Did you run our call?
I did.
Okay.
So little as $5 a month, you can become a supporter of our small but mighty, despite heavily suppressed yet still growing channel. I will be solo, as you know, on Saturday, but let's get through our remaining super chatters who have come in. Jeanette Villalona been a member for a month. Love watching your show. I'm glad I found you both. We're glad you're here. Thank you, Jeanette. Very much appreciated. Marvin Vargas with the $2. Please have Gerald Salente on. Fisty, smart, a legend. I think he is great.
Who is that?
He's a old school Italian investor from New York. He, really hates Trump and really hates where this country's going. He thinks we are heading for an inevitable revolution. I would say we would both agree that he is right about that. Kenman with the 279 Canadian A. Rabbi Schmucky is the typhoid Mary of anti-Semitism. I don't know how you came up with that one, but that's
good, Kenman. That's funny.
Okay.
Who's Judge Knapp's friend? Who are we talking about that's Judge Knapp's friend? Okay.
Well, actually, Judge Knapp's friend is Sachs.
Jeffrey Sachs?
Jeff Sachs. Love to have him on.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's for a minute, I thought you were going to say Rabbi Shmuley, and I was going to be so sad.
God, no. Not enough. No.
Okay. Well, somebody said he was friends with Rabbi. I'm like, he's friends with Judge Knapp. I would have been so sad because I love Judge Knapp.
Carson Cruz, appreciate your brother with the $10. Shmuley bears a resemblance to Billy Crystal in Princess Bride. By the way, Kushner and Ivanka were in Iceland in late June.
Sounds about right.
Speaking of Kushner. And
wait, did you say Kushner and Ivanka?
Yes, Kushner and Ivanka. Ooh, there they are.
The invasive parasitic zyovoltures? Did you reference those?
On Saturday night, one story, because you guys know that I can talk about the sporty stuff that Jen does not like to talk about. But on Saturday, I am going to address the fact that the Los Angeles Lakers, yes, the Los Angeles Lakers, the most valuable franchise by far in the NBA, has agreed to sell. The current principal owners of the team have agreed to sell to the team of Iger and Kushner for 12 billion with a
wait. What team? The Lakers?
The Los Angeles Lakers. Mm-hmm.
The NBA team for 12 billion?
Is now owned by two, and this isn't Jared Kushner. This is his younger brother. Is it Brian Kushner?
Does it matter?
Different form of shitbag Kushner. But I'll talk about him on Saturday because clearly there's some underlying issues here. And for those who don't know, Bob Iger is the CEO of Disney. So, hey.
Yeah, no, I got it, guys, that Gerald Salente was the one that was friends with Judge Knapp. I got that. Yeah. I'm so glad, too. I don't know who that is, but it's not the butt plug Rabbi.
Well, the Italians, they stick together, gabagool. Pirate Justin with the $2. When's Colin coming back? Ben and Colin can unionize.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. If the three of these people that get paid want to unionize, they can have at it. I don't know what they're going to be able to negotiate. We don't have much, but sure.
Colin makes his return on Saturday. So thank you all for your concern. And since we have just a few more minutes left, here is the second part of what happened to Yosef Haddad when he got a little frisky in the parking lot with Def Noodles.
Rocks. That's your husband. That's your husband. Stuff his hand in rocks.
I can't do shit. You need somebody to hold me back, you fucking loser. You genocidal fucking freak. You bombed kids, and you need 2 people to hold me back. Be a man.
I ain't trying to fight you, idiot. Stop, come on. That's your husband, right? That's your husband stuffing rocks in his
Get away from my wife.
Stop. That's your husband. That's it. Look at this guy. Stuffing rocks in his fist. If he hits me. You too. Stop. Hey.
Oh my God!
Oh!
He waits till 2 guys takes him to the ground, and then he puts rocks in his hands and he punches him in his dick.
Oh my God! Wait, go back. Go. Oh my God! Oh my God! Zio pussy often.
Yeah, that. I mean, honestly, you could pull the Zio pussy for that one.
Well,
Oh
I mean,
my
I can't.
God.
I mean, you
He
can't blame
pulled a
this on
Kush.
us.
He pulled a Mouskowitz there. That's what he did.
God.
Oh
Pathetic.
my God! He
So
fucking
pathetic.
punched him in his nuts with rocks in his hands while 2 guys are holding him down.
And yet was walking away until that. Then all of a sudden he got his machismo in order there with his friends.
Oh God, they're so fucking.
So it's so gross.
pathetic.
It's so gross.
Listen. You stop. I will stop. He attacked me. Stop. I will fucking stop. He attacked me. Stop. Stop. You do something. Stop. He didn't attack me. Stop, brother. Stop. You see, you got shit.
More? You want fucking more? What do you want, you fucking loser? I didn't do shit. You needed 3 people to get me off for you, fucking loser.
Violent Israelis don't know how to do anything but fight and cause damage.
Look at the fucking smirk on her face.
But do you hear what he's saying? Like Israelis don't know how to do, and it's true. He's like took 3 people to get you, like to get him. This is so pitiful.
Darling,
Oh my God.
I'm so proud of you for punching that man in his nuts when he couldn't defend himself. You did good, sweetheart.
Oh my God.
You did very good.
I can't.
Oh my God. It's like she's turned on by it. Well, I guess that's kind of it. I mean, I guess in a way that is what that is kind of how they get off. I mean, for Zionists anyway.
Fight and cause damage. If it's a violent Israel, all they do is attack people. Hey, stop. You
keep running your fucking mouth. Dude, come on, I'm right here. I'm right here.
Humiliated.
I'm right here.
Like it should be.
Why do you need people to stop me? I'm right here. I'm right here. Come on, you fucking loser. Why do you need people to stop me?
It's over.
He's pulling his fucking phone.
It's over. Bye.
Americans. Wow.
Bye, neo-Nazi.
Violent Israelis attack Americans. Wow.
I'm a neo-Nazi?
This is good content.
Okay, tell me again what candidate he is for what? What's he running for?
So I don't know. I guess I could look it up. Deaf Noodles.
Because
Is he
whatever
running for
he's running
Congress?
for, we need to support that guy.
Yeah, so Deaf Noodles, his name is Dennis Fitosa. He's known as Deaf Noodles. He's running for Congress as a Republican in Los Angeles. He's not going to win, but California's 30th, excuse me. So CA 30, which is, let's see, that's Burbank.
No, David, I'm not back on board, but I just think that we should be supportive of someone who does that. The fact that he's running for office isn't even, if he wasn't, I'd still like whoever it is.
Well, he's
let's
running
support
against,
them.
I mean, listen, he's running against Zio demo Laura Friedman. It is a plus 22D district. So,
Oh, so he's wasting his time anyway.
Yeah, he's not going to win. And, even you said, it's like, look, if you're going to involve yourself.
That's what I want to know. Why were those guys holding him back?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know why they held him back. In the end, I think it was just, it's something where, as Jeanette just pointed out, that's what cowards do. This is why the Zios don't fight. That's why the ones who are the loudest for putting people to death, like little Ben Shapiro.
I don't have time for that tonight.
They never do the fighting. They pay somebody to do it for them.
Oh, he already lost. So that was the primary was on June 2nd.
I see. That's
so he already lost. But but you know what? Good for him for calling out.
It doesn't mean that we couldn't have him on for a conversation.
I don't care. What does it matter?
Well, Carson Cruz with the $10 one more time. Thank you, Peter, Ivanka.
Oh, because he had written Ivana and you properly said Ivanka, even though we knew what he meant.
And I earned a $10 contribution for that? Carson. Molto bene.
Thank you, Carson.
Well.
Oh, maybe they were afraid the podcast would be sued. All right. I get it.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, but let me tell you, and we'll conclude on this note. Mr. Haddad, you better hope that he doesn't find you. You better hope that that's it. The next time that you two run into each other, you may not have a place to run. You're going to get everything coming to you eventually, as are all Zios go. Inevitably, the arc of justice is bending where it belongs.
That's not.
I don't know how to say it.
Now you're being like W. Fool me once.
Fool me once. Shame on you. Fool me twice. Don't get fooled again. That is what he said.
I know.
If there was anything that W was good for, he was good for a fucking laugh. That's about it.
Yeah, great.
Watch us drive. Smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things we ask you to do. We love you all. We appreciate you all. I will see you Saturday, and
I won't. And free Palestine.
good night, guys.